Okay, I think it's live again, and I hope everything is working. Let's do this one more time from the beginning, but this time is different because I had a story to tell you. A story about um, soda, as the title of the stream. Tonight, this evening, it's without coffee, but I had my can of Diet Coke because it's too hot to drink coffee, and let's try something different tonight. This last weeks, something interesting happened. I probably probably not. I had a master degree in advertising. I study advertising, and now I teach subjects related with advertising. So I I read a lot of news about advertising, and I try to teach something relevant about that same kind of topics. And this week's something big happened in the industry, the advertising industry, because Coca-Cola make some interesting moves on the advertising area about advertising their products. Most of the times at the school, you learn you are teach about the value of your brand and how you need to take care of your brand as one of your biggest assets, and how you need to take care and make your brand look well. It's important that your logo is placed in the front of your photos. You need to take a photo where your product appear nice and clean and sharp. And Coca-Cola, with their global advertising agencies, several of this level of brands, this size of companies, work with several brand advertising with the agencies, making their coordinating their advertising efforts globally. Hi Gina, welcome, nice to see you. I'm drawing a can of Coca-Cola. It's really interesting because the people behind the efforts of the advertising efforts of Coca-Cola globally take two different approaches in these recent weeks. They had right now two different advertising strategies. One of them about and I think it's culturally relevant here, also here in Mexico. They had this movement about handmade paints, like in Spanish the word is rótulos, the way how artisans make signs, handmade signs, and exterior spaces in the outdoors. Coca-Cola take all that different logos because the brand of Coca-Cola, the logo of Coca-Cola, it's something hard to do, hard to draw. and probably I should think about that before making this streaming session. Um, if you try to draw the Coca-Cola logo, probably you find yourself stuck with something that probably looks like Coca-Cola, but it's not Coca-Cola. Thanks, Gina. Let me adjust that. I lower my volume. I hope it's better now. Thank you. Something that probably looks like Coca-Cola, and you understand that, okay, I get it, it's Coca-Cola, or you try to draw or to make something like Coca-Cola, but it's not the exact brand. And it's complicated to make. Thank you, Gina. So it's hard to draw, it's hard to write, it's hard to paint the logo in an outdoor space, and that's one global campaign. Or I think it's focused on Latin America, South America, southern Latin America. And the other one, then it's the one that I want to talk about, is focused on this environmental sustainability efforts that right now it's really relevant in several markets, and it's about please recycle this can. It's about recycling, and Coca-Cola make a huge bet posting their own cans almost crushed, because it's intended to be crushed, to be recycled. And the idea, the copy, it's we will see you again soon. And you immediately recognize that it's a Coca-Cola can because it's red, and because you find some pieces, some parts of the classic Coca-Cola typography in the middle of the almost crushed can. And I think that's really brave, because it's something that you probably it's better now, I hope. It's better, I hope. It's something that you are teach about, that you never ever want to do that. Why you want to show your brand almost destroyed? Why you want to show your logo incomplete or out of focus? Thank you, Ina. Thanks again. So their own version of the local painters making their varieties, their versions of a Coca-Cola brand logo, and the other one, the almost crushed Coca-Cola cans. And this is something quick, something really easy. But I want to talk about that because it's interesting how obviously you need to be a huge brand like Coca-Cola to do something like this. It's like the logo in the front of the fashion magazines, and it's famous how many issues, how many numbers some of the biggest brands let to run before taking the brave decision to hide their logo behind the head of the model in the front page, in the cover of their magazines. It's something risky, and probably a small medium brand with a local level of approach or recognizance in some markets can't afford this. But at the same time, I think it's interesting how some brands, and I want to talk about that, some brands can take this level of risk, and how they are able to um, how these brands can um, make these decisions, and uh, and they position their brands in this way, and uh, again against the typical way to advertise their efforts. Let me answer some message. I try to teach, or I sometimes I say to my students that I try to not to use Coca-Cola as an example in my classes, because probably our brands, our we are well behind that level of budget. So probably, okay, this is a good example, but at the same time, probably you are not able to do something like this, or to apply something like this at any level. So sometimes it's complicated to try to do the same, or to apply the same strategy with our brands. And I try to teach that to my students. But it's really interesting how, when you suppose that, okay, I saw almost everything is written in this subject, they take decisions like this, and something really interesting happened, and we find ourselves talking about crushed soda cans. And that's the main idea of tonight streaming session, because it's brave, because it's interesting, and at the same time it's something that I want to talk about, because it's something that probably some at some time and some moment I talk about this with my students. And I'm a huge fan of the brand, I'm a huge consumer. I had my own Coke here with me tonight. As I said, it's really hot to drink coffee tonight. So that's the main idea behind this streaming tonight. And let's try something different. I will start with the red fine Sharpie, just to make the outline of the areas that I need to make white, to keep white. I remember when I was studying advertising, it was really common to use this kind of advertising as these campaigns as an example, and it's interesting because they had this huge, uh, this huge oh, the word for presupuesto, these huge budgets, um, but at the same time, it's really easy to fall in love with these ideas and projects and the way how this is the management behind these projects. But as I said, and it's something that I talk with my students in the first classes each period, each trimester or semester. I decided not to use all of this as an example because um, probably we are behind the amount of money that we need to, or brand recognition, not only money, that we need to do something like this. So probably it's not a good idea to try to apply the same settings of this kind of global efforts of advertising. So we can talk about this, but probably it's not a good example in the broad um, in the broad term, because probably we can apply this. We can make exactly the same campaign with our brands, and I find that really interesting because we can learn and we can try to find some way to do something similar to something related with our brands, but probably not the same. And with something sacred like your logo and your brand identity, at the same time it's really interesting to distort and to damage your image in this same way that the brand it's doing in these two different exercises. I think I understand. As I said, one is located or related to South America, to South American markets, and the other one is global or broader. And the topic, the subject, this idea of recycling, it's a good moment to talk about that. So that's why they can't do this. And I find that idea, as I said, really interesting because, okay, good for them that they can do that. They can apply this level of destruction to their market values, to their assets. And for me, it's just a way to make a quick doodle about a crushed can of sodas. And that's it. That's the idea for tonight sessions. I was thinking that probably I didn't have enough shades of red, so let me look for that. A couple of weeks ago, on April 24th, the last time, I had a lot, a lot of advertising posts on YouTube. That's why I decided to switch back to my local Creative Commons source playlist, and that's why you are listening to, because it's advertising free. It's different, and that's how I start the beginning of this project several months ago. And then, most at the same time, I read another newsletter early in the morning today about I didn't remember the word. It's in English, but I just forgot the name. But this is interesting. It's called Too Precious, about the anxiety of using art materials. It's a newsletter of Asian artist making cartoons, and it's a really interesting newsletter about how to beat the anxiety of having art materials and using them. And that's why I decided tonight to do this stream, because I want to finish this sketchbook, and that's the main idea of the newsletter that I found earlier today in my inbox. And I was thinking, okay, probably I can do that. Let's do this streaming session again one more time, and I want to talk about soda, about Coke. This is almost the same shade of red, so probably it's not working. Let me switch to this probably later. 2 weeks ago, I joined the Urban Sketchers share event of this May, and I sent my sketch of a local place here in my town, to a guy who was randomly selected. And early today in the morning, I received their sketch, a really fancy palace in Verona. I hope no, Verona, Milan. So my first experience doing this exercise for urban sketching, really interesting, highly recommended. Search for your local chapter and join them. 5 stars, highly recommended. I was thinking, okay, this is probably too easy because it's crushed and it will be easy to draw, but I was discovering that, okay, it was easy to draw, but it's hard to show as the different shadows of red. I need to view more red markers, probably. I hope to travel to Mexico City soon because I want to visit a place of um, art materials there. So I didn't need it. But as I said, I read this newsletter today. So I think, okay, probably I need more markers. So soon I try to find new markers to view. I remember that I really enjoy that music, that background music, but I switched to an online alternative because I want to find each session a new different set of playlists, and it was interesting that sadly advertising appeared and I didn't pay for YouTube Premium, so I'm back again to my old classic playlist. I don't like how this is going, but I think I can fix it in a minute. Also, I just bought a bunch of it's not art materials, bunch of stuff for this streaming. I bought um, I had the idea to add at least another camera. I don't know exactly how or why, but probably I can add an additional camera, and I hope to make this for plus one. I want to invite people to draw. It could be live here with me, or it could be abroad. Um, I need to work with in that idea. It's something that I want to try soon. So I bought some materials. Old Red and Vivid Red. Okay, that's different. I think I talked about this before. That I'm subscribed to a bunch of newsletters, and it became my primarily way of find to discover new information about the topics that I'm interested in. So for me, I read about these advertising campaigns of Coca-Cola in a newsletter. I found this idea or this post about anxiety and overcoming anxiety and working with that in a different in another newsletter, and it's something that I also talk about with my students, finding the news sources that it's relevant for your topics, your interest, your areas of interest, and how there is something relevant in your market area, in the topics that you want to talk about. And it's a nice way to find new detailed info of almost any 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 topic, any idea you want to explore too. I lost my gray marker, and I'm pretty sure that it's not dry, my box of markers. What happened? Okay, I don't know what happened. This wasn't the marker that I was looking for. This is the right one. I just sent, I just finished one of my periods, one of my subjects in class. Um, I'm about to begin another one, so I want to talk about this with my students because I'm um, I'm sure that this is relevant. And tonight is May 14th. The first one, as I said, this is really easy, really quick. Let's try the second one with the same shades of red. Let me switch the image here. I really like how this this work, and I'm feeling more and more confident with my style. Just a little bit each time. And as I said, it's something just for relaxing for me. So, this is almost dry, so let's do that at the end. I like to think how hard it will be to take this level of decision with this size of brands. How many okays, how many follow up you need to achieve in order to go ahead with some crazy idea like this, and it's probably really hard because there are a lot of communication, there are a lot of communication efforts, there are a lot of people involved, and I hope, I suppose, I think this will be really hard, but at the same time, it's something that it will be great to achieve and to look at. And at the end, if you reach something like this, and fanboys like me are talking about that, it's working and it's work well done, I think. It's time for a Coke, Gina. No, this is the darkest one. It's always time for a Coke. Coral pink. It's too bright and too pink. It's not red, but I think it's okay. I can fix this in a minute. When I was studying, first as a graphic designer and then a master's in advertising, my professors, my teachers, all the time use Coca-Cola as an example. The bottle, the green glass bottle of Coke, it's probably, and we can reach an agreement on that idea. It's probably one of the best industrial designs of all the world because it's really easy to recognize. You can recognize a bottle of Coke almost everywhere in almost the minimum piece of them. That's a sign of a good design. In Spanish, Gina, tache, tache, a red awful cross. Shame on you. It's a basic on every house. You need to have, you should have a pack of Coke in your fridge. I bought my packs of 24th, so I'm a heavy drinker. Probably that's not a good idea, but it's something that happened. Oh, bad news. Time to go, Gina. Good luck in your stream. Take care. Thanks for coming. You should have Coke in your fridge. The darkest one. Your nutritionist probably had a point, but you can now think about your cans of Coke like an art material, like an art piece. I like this shape and I didn't use here. This is the A side, this is the B side. It's almost full in both of them. And this is since day one, years ago. Years, I'm not so consistent, but yes, years ago. I'm happy with this outcome. I think it works. Again, it's May 14th. So, two different versions of the same idea. But I think I had time to another one because it's an old image that is waiting in my list of to do. Actually, I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 different cans, and I just pick two of them. Let me find another image. I can show you my proposal for the Urban Sketchers event, because it's below this box where my laptop is located. So on the upcoming session I can show you that. Okay, again, this is really quick. This is really easy because it's a good idea. It's a book cover. It's a book cover that I find a long time ago, like months ago. A lot of news alerts. Sorry. I think everything is okay. This idea, it's an art book cover, a book about living in Japan. I never been there. I really want to travel there. The book is called Other Things, and it's right by Craig Muth. It's a photo book. It's a photo book actually. And the cover, it's really interesting because it's a sandwich, deconstructed sandwich. And I was thinking, okay, probably this is something that I can draw and I can talk about again the place where I found these ideas. And yes, it's another newsletter. I think probably I talk about that newsletter before here in streaming. I'm a huge fan of Monocle magazine. I listen Monocle radio, and all the products of the Monocle brand are really interesting to me because it's probably the way of living that I couldn't afford right now, but I want to. And this is an art book about living, traveling and living in Japan. And it's interesting because I'm not a good reader. I had a lot of things to do and I didn't have enough time or so much free time to read several books. I tried to. Sometimes I couldn't. And I find the cover of this book really interesting because it's just a sandwich. It's just a sandwich, and as I said, it's really quick. It's really easy. It's really simple, basic pieces of sandwich: meat, cheese, bread. That's it. And it's presented like instructive how to make a sandwich, or I don't know. And I find this idea interesting, how to make a sandwich, a diagram, and instructive. It's not a book about sandwiches. It's just a book about Japan and traveling and living in Japan as a foreigner. So I think I had time to do this really quick. Uh, let's move out. This is dry. I don't like this shade of yellow. So as I was saying, this is a photo book about traveling to Japan, living there, the way how they had this different relationship with objects and with the lifestyle in general. And for me, it's really interesting because I really want to travel there. I really want to visit that country. Um, I'm not. I hope to do that soon. I try to read. I had a Kindle and I read a lot. I used to read there a lot. Uh, right now I'm in a kind of pause because lack of time, lack of free time, but it's something that I really try to make a change in. So I hope to read more soon, to be able to read more soon. But at the same time, this is not a book. Again, other things, the photo book. It's not a book to read on Kindle because it's a book uh, of high quality photographs. So it's a book to have in paper. It was a really expensive book. I didn't own the book. I didn't order one a copy. I I would like that, but it was a limited printed edition. Um, I didn't order one to myself. So this is just about a study about the cover of that book. Cheese, ham, pickles, one in the top of the other, and that's it. It's a sandwich. Again, I lost my fine marker. I read about this book in Monocle, and probably it will be waiting in my list of things to draw since a long, long time ago. Months, many months. So I can cross it right now. I took a class of um, technical drawing in middle school, and I remember that was really hard at that time. It was really helpful later in college. So that's it. It's just a quick doodle